Welcome in. This is the unit rational number operations student handout number 5. We're adding and subtracting rational numbers 2. Today we're going to start dealing with your favorite, the old fractions. Oh boy. Miss Price presented a problem which the numbers 1 through 4 are each missing one time. Use the missing numbers and your understanding of adding fractions to make the equation true. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the numbers are, and then we'll go from there why it works. Okay. 1/4 and 2/3. So some of you are looking at that like, hey dude, that don't equal 11/12. Well, you remember, you can't just add fractions across. They have to be common denominators first, right? Remember, the bottom's denominator, top's numerator. Remember that? Okay. All right, so how do we get it? What number can we get them equal to add them up? Well, 12 looks like a common one. So multiply both of these by 3 and both of these by 4. You're going to end up with 3/12 and 8/12. So your new one becomes 3/12 plus 8/12. Add those up. Now the bottom is the same, so you can't add them up. So it just becomes 11/12, which is what they told us the answer was. All right, I know you're looking forward to fractions. Here we go. All right, guys, your rules don't change when we're adding or subtracting positive and negative fractions. We still got to find a common denominator, so the least common denominator is actually what we need to find. So the fractions and mixed numbers each can be added and subtracted by following these steps. So when you're clueless on your homework, just look back to these steps, which you did not do on the first part. So let's try that this time. Find the least common denominator, which is the least common denominator, the LCD. Rename each fraction. So rewrite it. Let's do rewrite. Let's do. How about that? Yeah, there we go. Rewrite each fraction. We're going to add or subtract the numerators. Oops. The old numerators, which is the top. And put that in parentheses. Top. Leave the denominator the same. We're going to not regroup. We're going to rewrite and simplify. All right, so here we go. All right, we're adding. Denominator's the same. Sweet. So we just bring it with us. 3 plus 4 is 7/5. We don't write numbers like that. That's correct, but that ain't how we write them, okay? We have to turn that into a mixed fraction. How do we do that? How many times will 5 go into 7? Once. So once with 2 left over. The denominator doesn't change. So 1 2/5. How do I know if it's positive or negative? Both of them, we're adding and they're both positive, so it just stays positive. So the answer is positive. Okay? First of all, let's just identify what we're doing here. We're adding, and they're the same sign, so the answer is going to be negative. Okay, they're both negative and we're adding, so we're just going to add them up. We're just going to do what? Add them up. So the denominator stays the same. Add the top up, that's 10/6. Okay? Number 1, that'll simplify, so I'm going to rewrite it down here, 10/6. Both of those will go by 2s. So we can end up with 5/3. Now that we have 5/3, I have to turn it into a mixed number, so divide 3 by 5. Oops, that's a 3 by 3, 3 by 5. Once with 2 left over. So 1, 2 left over, denominator doesn't change. Negative 1 2/3 is the answer. Number 3. Again, we're adding, and they're both negative, so we just add them up, keep sign, add them up, keep sign, add them up, keep sign. All right? Now, I don't like for you to work with one mixed number and one non-mixed number. You can do that if you just insist, but you better know what you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this second one that's in parentheses, I'm going to turn it into a improper fraction. So I'm going to end up with negative 3/4 plus a negative 7/4. If you forgot how to do back to improper fractions, that times that plus what's on top. So it becomes 7/4. Okay? Now I can just add them across, and I get 10/4. That will simplify into 5/2. So now that I have 5/2, I'm going to divide to get it back to a mixed number. And I'm going to get 2 and 1/2. Now, I'm not done. We're adding, and they're both negative, so we keep the sign, okay? So the answer is negative 2 and 1/2. All right. Number 4. Hey, this time it's a little different, okay? Because we're subtracting. So we're subtracting, right? So we need to rewrite the problem to make it an addition problem. Looky there, subtracting. So we need to rewrite the problem. So leave the first number alone, add, and then the last one becomes the opposite, so it becomes negative 4/5. All right? Now we can just add across, and it becomes 7/5, which the mixed number becomes 1 and 2/5. Now, that is not the answer, though. Why is that not the answer? Because we are adding two negatives, okay? So we just keep the sign. So the answer is negative 1 2/5. How did I go from 7/5 to 1 and 2/5? You just divide 5 by 7. You get 1 with 2 remainers, okay? And the denominator doesn't change. Number 5. Again, it's subtraction, so let's make it an addition problem. So leave the first part alone, make it an addition, okay? So that becomes addition, and that becomes the opposite, which is a negative 3/6. Now, denominators are the same, so go ahead and bring those across. 5 plus 3 is 8, 8/6. That'll simplify. Both of those will divide by 2. You're going to get 4/3. Go ahead and divide that for you, okay? You're going to get 1 and 1/3. Now, that is not the answer. Okay, go back to our problem. We're adding, and they're the same sign. So we add them up, keep the sign. So it is a negative 1 and 1/3. Last one. We got to rewrite the problem again here, okay? So keep the first one. Turn that into addition. Take the opposite of whatever that is. That's a negative, so it becomes a positive 1/3. Beautiful. Now, all right, sorry, I was looking at my phone. So what do we do now? We're adding, and they're opposites. We're adding and they're opposites. So you can't just add across. Look, now we're adding, and you got one negative and one positive. So we actually do what? We subtract. So we go 2 minus 1 is 1/3. Is it negative or positive? How do I know, Coach? Well, in the green, right? Oops, that's not what I meant to circle. Which number is further from 0? The 2, and it is negative, so the answer is negative 1/3. All right. Seven through 9, we're going to subtract. Uh-oh, the denominators aren't the same. Sorry about that. The denominators aren't the same, Coach. What do we do? Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's make them the same. How do we do that? Well, 6 looks like a good one, but we got to multiply this other one by 2 to make it 6. So we end up with negative 1/6 plus 4/6. We are adding, and they are opposites, right? So we actually do what with 4 and 1? We subtract. 3/6 will simplify into 1/2. Is the answer positive or negative? Go back. Which one of those is further from 0? I think the positive 4 is, if I'm correct. So the answer would be positive 1/2. AKA 50 cent, 50 cent, 50 cent. Okay, moving on. We're adding up two negatives, so we're just going to add them. But before we can add them, the denominator has to be the same. How do we do that? Let's multiply the 4 by 2. I think that'll make 8 plus a negative 6/8. Beautiful. Same sign. Add them up. We can add them up now. It becomes 11/8. How do we turn that into an old mixed number? We go 8 divided by 11, and it'll go 1 with 3 remainers. So the answer would be 1 3/8. But that is not the answer because we have to go back and check, see if it's negative or positive. We're adding. They are the same sign, so the answer stays the same. So it would be a negative 1 3/8. Beautiful, beautiful. Don't we all love math? All right. Denominators aren't the same, so let's make them the same. So that means 2 has to turn into an 8. So we got negative 3/8 minus 4/8. We're subtracting, so now we need to turn it into an addition problem. So we go negative 3/8. That turns into a plus, and that turns into a negative 4/8. Now the denominators are the same, and we're adding. So same sign, keep the sign. So we end up with 3 plus 4 is 7/8. Is the answer negative or positive? How do we know? We're adding, and they are the same sign, so keep the sign. So the answer is negative 7/8. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Number 10. A new monument is being constructed and 3 different proposals are under consideration. How many feet taller is proposal A than C? So we got to subtract proposal A from C. So proposal A is 15 1/3 minus proposal C, which is 13 5/6. So before we do anything, we need to go ahead and turn them into an improper fraction. So 3, let's just make this a little bigger here so I can show you a little something. All right, so 15 1/3, right, plus 13 5/6. All right, so when you convert them to an improper fraction, you go 3 times 15, which is 45, plus the 1 on top. So it becomes 46/3. 6 times 13 is 26, 52, 78, I believe. Plus the 5 on top is 83/6. Now, we can't just, the denominators aren't the same, so we can't just add. So now we have to make them the same, so we're going to multiply by 2, or not, yeah, 2. So now the problem becomes, I'm going to rewrite it right here, okay, in the next little part. So I get 46, which is 92/6 plus 83/6. Or we're subtracting, we're not even, my bad. I don't know why I'm over here trying to do addition. Apologies. All right, so we're subtracting here. So 92 minus 83 would be 9/6. Those will simplify, and they both divide by 3. So you're going to get 3/2. 3/2 turns into 1 1/2. So now to put it in a sentence, because I do want it in a sentence. And proposal A is 1 1/2 feet taller than proposal C. I'm just going to put taller than C, period. All right, that is a lot of math. So if you have these type of questions on your test, you're not going to have very many of them. So slow down and work it out. Number 11, Miss Oliver asked 3 students to place an expression on the number line to represent the solution. The number line below shows 0 and negative 1 1/2. Determine where each student should place the solution to the expression. All right, so let's work out Judy's, and then let's work out Rico, and let's work out Kay. Okay? Judy's, first of all, I'm going to go in red here. It needs to become an addition, and that needs to become minus. This becomes 2 times 1 plus the 1 on top, so it becomes negative 3 over 2. Okay? So we have negative 3 over 2 plus 2. So negative 3 over 2 plus 2. Now, we can always put a whole number over 1. I forgot my negative 2 over 1. Remember, you can always put a whole number over 1, and it's still a whole number, okay? It's just how to make an improper fraction. Denominators are not the same, so let's make them the same. How do we do that? We have to turn the 1 into a 2, and therefore we have to do what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So now let's rewrite the problem again. Negative 3 over 2 plus negative 4 over 2. Now the denominators are the same, so we can just add across. How do we know we're adding? Because we're adding and they're the same sign. So we add them up, keep the sign. We get negative 7 over 2, but you can just put 7 over 2 for now. 7 over 2 is a mixed number. I'm going to go over here to the side. Becomes 3 1/2. So I'm going to write that in green right here. 3 1/2. 3 1/2. Now is the answer negative or positive? We're adding and they're both negative, so add them up, keep the sign. So the answer is negative 3 1/2. So I'm going to write that above Judy's name and circle it negative 3 1/2. Whew. So Judy, now that we can go over here and on the number line and negative 3 1/2, so there's negative 1, there's negative 2, there's negative 3. So Judy would be out here somewhere. There's Judy. Good old Judy. All right, Rico. I'm going to try to separate these the best I can. All right, Rico. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. All right, so let's put that over 1, that whole number, and let's go ahead and turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. So we're going to, just like we did on the first one, it becomes negative 3 over 2. So we're going to rewrite our problem, negative 3 over 2 plus 4 over 1. We got to make the denominators the same, so let's go ahead and do that, just like we did on problem 1. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do have to do to the top. So now we're going to end up with negative 3 over 2 plus 8 over 2. We are adding, let me go in green here, we're adding, and one's negative, one's positive. So when they're adding and they're not the same, we actually subtract. So 8 minus 3 is 5. Denominator doesn't change. So we have 5 over 2. Once we have 5 over 2, go ahead and do your, convert it back to a mixed number. So you just go 2 divided by 5, 2, and you get 2.5. Is the answer positive or negative? In yellow right here is where I'm going now. Which one is the 8 or negative, or the 3 further from 0 is the best way to say it. The 8 is further from 0, so the positive gets the sign. So the answer for Rico is 2.5. So let's go over here to Rico, and we're going to go 1, 2. So Rico is at 2.5, so he is somewhere over there. Uncle Rico, throw the football further than anybody. And the last one, well, guys, let me just go ahead and tell you, we ain't even got to work this one out, because let's just look at it. Let's just use our little mental math here. That is negative 1 1/2, right? That is 1 1/2. Those are the same numbers except they're opposites. Are we correct? So if we remember back to the other day, if we add opposites, what does the answer always come out to be? 0 when we add opposites. What a million plus a negative million? Always 0, right? We went over that. So Cade is at 0. All right. And the last one of the day. During a drought, the local lake was 2 1/4 feet below its normal level. 2 weeks later, the water level had dropped an additional 1 3/8. How far below the normal level was the water after 2 weeks? All right, what do I know? Here's what I know. I know that it was 2 1/4 feet below normal. And then I also know that it dropped another. I'm going to write that out on the other side over there. And I also know it dropped. Why am I trying to do that? R. It dropped another 1 3/8. That's a 3. Okay? All right, how much I need to know how much did the water level change? Okay, it asked me, how far below the normal level was the water after 2 weeks? So how much did the water level change? That's what it's wanting to know. So here's how we would work the problem. Let's plan it and let's work it. I'm going to go in blue to begin with. It started at negative 2 1/4 because that was below. And then plus another negative. It went down another negative 1 3/8. So where do we end up? So let's go add those together. First of all, we need to turn them into mixed numbers. So 4 times 2 plus the 1 on top. So that would be negative 9 over 4 plus 8 times 1 plus the 3 on top is 11 over 8. Okay, denominators are not the same, so we need to go ahead and make those the same. How do we do that? The 4 needs to go to 8. So we can multiply by 2. So the new problem becomes negative 18 over 8 plus negative 11 over 8. Now, okay, just showing you where it went. Now, we're adding. They are the same sign. They're both negative, so we just add them up. 18 plus 11 is 29 over 8. Now we need to convert that to a mixed number. So 8 divided by 29 will go in 3 times. That is 24. And there are 5 left over. Okay, so 3 and 5/8. 3 and 5/8. Now, is it negative or positive? Go back in green here. We're adding the same sign. They're both negative, so the answer is negative. Now let's put that in the solution in a sentence. The water level was 3 and 5/8 feet below its normal level. All right, that is it for today's notes. We'll see you on the flip side.